Benjamin Berg. I'm the creator of MarriageHowTo.net, and today I'd like to give you 5 instant marriage tips. 5 things you can hear today and use today to put you one step closer to an awesome marriage. Before we take right off on the 5 marriage tips, let me share just a little bit about myself, so kind of let you know where I'm coming from and how I might understand where you're coming from. You see, I'd like to say that I am a perfect role model for an awesome marriage. But the truth of the matter is, I've had my struggles too. You see, I'm happily married now, but my first marriage, after over a decade, ended. But not all was lost. You see, I wrote down a list of all the things I did that helped contribute to the problems in that marriage. And I learned from them, and I made a direct, concerted effort to change that the next time I was married. Between that and God's incredible blessing, I can honestly tell you that I'm very happily married now. So, on with the 5 tips. Try starting a conversation like this. Do you know why I love you? And then tell them. Tell them all the reasons why you admire him. Tell her all the reasons why you love her, why you think so well of her, and why you just can't get enough of her. Tell him all the things that you think are awesome about him. Now, it sounds like a simple thing, right? So simple that, well, do we really need to do it? You see, there's something about human nature, kind of the way our heart works, if you will. It's a little bit like eating. I'm not sure what your favorite food is, but I love Thai food. I love the spiciness of it. I love the exotic flavors of it. And it's just an enjoyable thing for me to go out and have Thai food, good Thai food. And I can go out to a wonderful restaurant, have a full meal of wonderful, spicy, delectable Thai food, and remember that thought. Remember that feeling. But you know what? No matter how amazing, no matter how awesome it was, the next day, I'm still hungry. I need to eat again. Believe it or not, the human heart works a little bit the same way. You can tell your wife how amazing she is, how beautiful she is, how much you appreciate her, and then a little while later, you got to tell her again. You can tell your husband how handsome he is, how awesome he is, how much you admire him, and a little while later, you got to tell him again. Tip number 2, never, never say never, and always, always avoid always. Now, what on earth could I mean by that? Well, it means something pretty simple. Just take the word always, throw it in the trash can. Take the word never, and throw it in the trash can. Don't ever use them when you're talking to your husband or your wife. Why, you may ask? Well, actually, it's rather simple. Think about all the times you've heard the term always or never used in conversations with people, especially people that care about each other, people that are married. You always leave the seat up. You never throw out the trash. You ever heard those phrases before, or something like it? Now, how often is always, always true? How often is never, ever true? Those 2 words almost always come off as an accusation. You are wrong. So don't use them, because when people point the finger at you, you don't like it, you don't respond well, so don't do it to your spouse. It makes their life harder, and it makes yours harder, because guess what? When you tell them that, they don't respond to you very well at all. So, never say never, always avoid always, and throw them in the trash can. Tip number 3, compliment your spouse. Tell them something good about them. Find something genuine that you like about what they did or what they said or how they look, and say, wow, I like this about you. You know, it's kind of easy for me. I can look at my wife and say, wow, baby, you look great, because I think she's beautiful. I can say thank you for the different things that she does for me. Oftentimes she makes these wonderful, amazing salads that I take to work every day, and I always try and go out of my way to compliment her on those and say thank you. Now, that seems like a simple thing, again, but how often do we forget to do the simple things? How often do we forget to do the things that we do for our friends? But with our husband, with our wife, we just kind of assume they already know. And so we stop doing it. The problem is, we're all human beings, whether we're married to each other or not, and we all have the need to have that extra friendship connection, that type of compliments of positive energy between us that's generated by those simple, nice things that we can say and do for each other. So don't forget, compliment him. Compliment her. Tell her what's awesome about him. Tell her what you love about her. Compliment your spouse. Instant marriage tip number 4. Ask, don't complain. Ask for what you want. Stop complaining about what it is you don't like. You can think of it, well, we don't really want you to compare your husband or your wife to a little kid, but if you think of it that way, there's a useful lesson in it. If you tell Johnny, stop running through the house. You've told him what you don't want, but you haven't told him what to do. You're going to have more success if you tell him, stop running in the house, go outside in the front yard and run around there. You're more likely to get what you want because you've told him what it is you do want. Believe it or not, between a husband and wife, the same principle applies. Oftentimes, especially if you've been married a little while, and the same problem comes up every so often or fairly often, we get in the habit of complaining about something. Oh, can't you just stop doing that? Why do you have to do that again? And we never really say what it is we want our husband or our wife to do. If we just tell them what we want, they know exactly what it is we want. There's more chance that they'll actually do it. And guess what? They don't hear you complaining all the time, and they feel better. They're more willing to listen to you because you're not constantly criticizing them. You're not constantly saying things negative about them. So ask exactly what you want and stop complaining about it. Sounds simple. Moving on to number 5. This one here is an incredibly powerful technique or tip. You see, no matter how good you are with your husband or with your wife, you're still human. You're still prone to mistakes. Let me tell you, I am fully aware of the fact that I am human and I make mistakes. I pretty much make them, well, I'd like to say not every day, but that's probably the truth of the matter. So one of the things we can do as husbands and wives that can greatly enhance our marriage is to ask for some help. Ask for the one who is perfect. Connect ourselves and each other to the one who really is perfect. No matter how hard we try, we can't be. But we can connect ourselves and our spouse to the one who is. Now, when I suggest that you pray for your husband or pray for your wife, I'm talking about a specific type of prayer. I'm talking about the kind of prayer where you're asking God to bless them, to give them the things they want, to help them to be more happy, to be more successful. I am not talking about, dear Lord, you know what a pain in the rear he is. Can you please just fix him? Dear Lord, you know how she is. She's getting on my last nerve. Can you just take her and do something? That's not the kind of prayer I'm talking about. That may make you feel a little better for the moment, but it's not going to do anything for your husband or wife, and quite frankly, I really don't believe God answers those kinds of prayers. On the other hand, if you take time to think about what it is your husband or wife really wants, what the things they're really struggling with, and you pray about those things. You know, dear Lord, can you please help my wife? She's struggling with this boss at work, and he's just really hard on her and just making life difficult for her, Lord. Can you give her strength? Can you give her wisdom? Can you give her patience? And help her survive it. Help her to be calm and peaceful and be able to find some joy in the middle of working it. That's the kind of prayer that we need to be praying. Now, there's 2 big benefits to that. First of all, you're inviting God's power into your husband or your wife's life. And that's an amazing, wonderful thing. Because God can help us do things. He can change our attitudes, change our feelings in ways that we just simply don't have the ability to do. But the second way is the fact that it puts you in a great mindset about your husband or your wife. You see, when you're asking good things for them, when you're asking God to bless them with good things, it's very difficult to see them in a negative way. It's very difficult to be mad at them, to hold a grudge against them, to be constantly yelling at them and criticizing them. By you going out of your way, looking for the things that are important for them, and inviting God to give those things to them, you're setting your own attitude up to be a positive attitude for positive interactions between your husband and wife. And that'll put you one more step closer to an awesome marriage. So these 5 tips, they're quite simple. But just remember, simple things can add up. And oftentimes, marriages don't crumble from some big, giant, huge problem, but from little things that we just stop doing. Little things that cause problems that add up over time. So just a quick review for our 5 instant marriage tips. Start a conversation. Ask them, do you know why I love you? And then tell them. Never say never. Ever, ever, never, ever say never. And always avoid always. Just trash can those words and don't use them. You'll be better off. Your marriage will be better off. You'll be happier. Compliment your spouse. Tell them what you like about them. Tell them what you admire about them. Guess what? They're going to feel good being around you. When they feel good being around you, they're going to be in a better mood and they're more likely to treat you better. Everybody wins. Ask. Don't complain. Ask for what you want. Don't just complain about what it is you hate, about what it is they do or how they dress or what it is they're saying to you or their attitude. Ask for what it is you do want. Then they know clearly what it is you would like, and they're not hearing you complaining so much. Finally, pray. Pray for your husband or wife. Put them in God's hands. Ask God to bless them and give them the things that they want most. This is one of the most powerful tools you will ever have to build up your marriage. I know that you agree with me. Marriage is important. Your marriage is important. So I'm going to ask you to do 2 things. First of all, if you're watching this on Facebook, could you please go to the like button and press it? I'd like you to share what you've just learned with your friends and family. 5 instant marriage tips. 5 simple ways to take one step forward towards an awesome marriage. If it was important for you, it could be important for them. And the second thing, I'd like you to share your wisdom. You see, every couple learns. They learn through their struggles. They learn through their triumphs. And you've learned some things that have worked really well in your marriage, so I'd like you to share that with me and the rest of the people who are viewing. So please go to the comment sections below in either Facebook or YouTube and share your 1 or 2 best tips for marriage. We can all benefit from that, and as we learn from each other, we'll all learn ways to have a better, happier, healthier marriage. May God greatly bless you in your marriage.